puzzle when it comes to maximizing your relationships. Continual communication. It's not enough to just make the initial sale or build a partnership. You need to nurture those relationships over time.
It's like dating. You don't just stop putting in effort once you're in a relationship. You have to keep the spark alive.
Exactly. And in business, that means finding ways to stay top of mind with your clients in a way that...
Welcome to Witter. Who Has Time to Read? The podcast that brings deep dives for busy minds. Listen to AI hosts Jane and Dane and get ready to unpack the world's most captivating books in just a fraction of the time. Whether commuting, working out, or just squeezing in a quick break, we deliver key insights, thought-provoking themes, and takeaways you can carry into your day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Plus, use our links in the description to purchase this book. Your support helps us bring more engaging book discussions to you. Listen and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Who has time to read? You do, with Witter.
All right, so are you ready to unlock some serious potential today?
I am.
Because we are diving deep into Jay Abraham's getting everything you can out of all you've got.
Okay.
This guy's a legend advising major corporations.
Right.
And he's all about spotting those hidden opportunities most of us miss. We're talking practical advice you can use right now to boost your business or career.
Yeah, what's fascinating about Abraham's approach is that he breaks down this idea of maximizing potential into manageable steps. He doesn't just tell you to think bigger. He gives you a framework for finding growth in unexpected places.
Okay, so one of the first things that stood out to me was his power of three formula. He's basically saying that to really amp up your business, you need to focus on three key areas: increasing your number of clients, boosting your average sale size, and finding ways to encourage repeat business. Sounds pretty straightforward, right?
It is, but the real magic is in the math. Abraham points out that even a small 10% increase in each of these areas can compound into a massive 33.1% jump in income. That's the power of incremental growth, and it's something we can all apply no matter what stage our business is in.
10% feels so achievable, too. And that example really highlights how we often get caught up in chasing those big splashy wins when it's often the small consistent efforts that make the biggest difference in the long run.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is that this principle applies not just to sales figures, but to personal growth as well. Imagine applying that 10% rule to your skill set, your network, or even just the amount of time you dedicate to learning each day. The cumulative effect can be extraordinary.
Now that you mention it, I remember Abraham shares an incredible story in the book about a company that completely overhauled its sales commission structure to focus on acquiring new clients. They actually started offering their salespeople 100% of the profit on the first sale to a new customer. Can you believe that?
It sounds crazy on the surface, right? But think about the message it sends. It tells the salespeople that the company values bringing in new business above all else and is willing to invest heavily in that growth. It's a powerful example of aligning incentives with your ultimate goals.
And the results speak for themselves. Their sales tripled in just 9 months. It just goes to show that sometimes shaking things up and challenging those traditional ways of doing business can lead to a remarkable result.
Precisely. And that ties into another key concept from Abraham, the strategy of preeminence. It's about shifting your mindset from simply selling a product or service to becoming a true partner in your client's success.
It's about falling in love with your client, as Abraham puts it, not in a creepy way, of course, but in the sense that you're genuinely invested in understanding their needs and helping them achieve their desired outcomes.
Exactly. He uses this great analogy of the hardware store customer who thinks they need a drill,
when what they really need is a hole.
Exactly. But maybe through a conversation, you discover they don't even need a hole. They need a specific type of fastener for a particular project. The strategy of preeminence is about becoming that trusted advisor who can guide your clients toward the best possible solution, even if it means looking beyond the initial transaction.
That reminds me of those times I've gone shopping for something specific, but then a knowledgeable salesperson starts asking me questions and showing me different options. I might end up buying something completely different, but it's because they took the time to understand what I was really trying to accomplish.
And you probably walked away feeling good about that experience and that salesperson, which makes you more likely to return to them in the future. It's about building those long-term, mutually beneficial relationships that Abraham emphasizes throughout the book.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the power of incremental growth and the importance of understanding your client's needs on a deeper level. But what about mitigating risk? Because let's face it, making decisions in business always involves some level of uncertainty.
And that's where one of Abraham's most intriguing concepts comes in, risk reversal. It's about flipping the script on traditional sales by eliminating risk for the client.
So instead of asking the client to take a leap of faith, you're essentially saying, hey, try this out. And if it doesn't work out the way you hoped, you've got nothing to lose.
Precisely. Think about those money-back guarantees you often see. It might seem counterintuitive for a business to take on that risk, but it can be incredibly powerful for building trust and encouraging people to give your product or service a try.
And it's not just for small ticket items either.
Yeah.
Abraham talks about how even the Wright brothers, those aviation pioneers, used a form of risk reversal when securing their first airplane contract with the government.
They essentially told the government, we'll build you this revolutionary flying machine, and you only have to pay us if it meets all your specifications. Talk about confidence.
Wow, to have that level of belief in what you're offering. So we can apply this idea of risk reversal to our careers as well.
Absolutely. Think about how you can incorporate this principle into your work. Could you offer a trial period for your services? Or present a proposal that outlines clear, measurable outcomes, guaranteeing specific results?
That makes so much sense. By taking the risk off the table, you're making it much easier for people to say yes.
Precisely. And that's what it's all about, finding those win-win solutions that benefit everyone involved. But it's not just about getting people in the door. It's about exceeding their expectations once they're there.
And that brings us to those sometimes dreaded terms.
Yeah.
Upselling and cross-selling. I think a lot of people hear those words and immediately think, oh no, here comes the hard sell.
Right. But Abraham emphasizes that upselling and cross-selling aren't about pushing unnecessary products or services on people. It's about understanding your client's desired outcome on a deeper level and then presenting them with options that enhance their overall experience or provide additional value.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So it's less about being pushy and more about being a helpful guide who can anticipate their needs and offer valuable solutions.
Exactly. Think about it this way. You're at a restaurant and the waiter suggests a particular wine pairing for your meal. You might not have considered it, but their suggestion enhances your entire dining experience. That's the power of a well-placed and well-intentioned upsell or cross-sell.
It's about adding value, not just tacking on extra costs.
Precisely. And this idea of maximizing relationships, of finding those win-win scenarios, leads us to another key concept from Abraham: host-beneficiary relationships. Have you ever noticed how some businesses seem to have this knack for forming strategic partnerships that benefit everyone involved?
Oh, absolutely. Like those local businesses that always recommend each other's services or team up for community events.
Exactly. That's the essence of a host-beneficiary relationship. It's about recognizing that businesses often have complementary strengths and audiences. By collaborating, they can tap into each other's networks and create a powerful synergy that elevates everyone involved.
So it's like building a network of mutually beneficial connections, kind of like a support system for businesses.
Precisely. And a perfect example of this is the story Abraham tells about a coin company that partnered with a financial publisher. They were offering coin purchases at break-even prices.
Break-even prices.
Yeah. Which seemed counterintuitive, right? But by including educational materials from the financial publisher with each purchase, they were able to build a massive, loyal investor base.
So they were willing to take a short-term loss on the coin sales to gain a long-term customer. That's brilliant.
It is. They understood the lifetime value of a client and were willing to play the long game. And that's a key takeaway here. Sometimes what seems like a loss in the short term can lead to exponential growth down the line if you're strategic about your partnerships and understand the power of building lasting relationships.
Makes you think about your own industry and whether there are businesses you could partner with to offer more value to your clients and expand your reach at the same time.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial piece of the puzzle when it comes to maximizing your relationships: continual communication. It's not enough to just make the initial sale or build a partnership. You need to nurture those relationships over time.
It's like dating. You don't just stop putting in effort once you're in a relationship. You have to keep the spark alive.
Exactly. And in business, that means finding ways to stay top of mind with your clients in a way that's helpful and valuable, not just promotional.
So it's not about bombarding them with sales pitches every 5 minutes.
Right.
It's about becoming a trusted resource, someone they can turn to for valuable information and guidance.
Exactly. Think about it this way. You're more likely to remember the dentist who calls to check on you after a procedure than the one who just sends you a generic reminder card in the mail. It's that personal touch that makes all the difference.
It's about showing that you genuinely care about their well-being and success, even in small ways.
Exactly. And that could involve sending a handwritten thank you note, sharing a relevant article, or simply picking up the phone to see how they're doing. So how can we, as listeners, apply this idea of continual communication to our own businesses or careers?
It starts with thinking about what your clients or colleagues truly value. What information would be helpful to them? What challenges are they facing that you might be able to help them solve?
So instead of just sending out a generic newsletter, blasting your latest promotion, you might tailor your message to address a specific industry trend or offer insightful advice that's relevant to their needs.
Exactly. Or you could host a webinar on a topic your audience is interested in, or simply reach out to individual clients or colleagues to see how they're doing and offer your support.
It's about building genuine connections and demonstrating that you're invested in their success, even in small ways.
Precisely. And this concept of being a valuable resource, someone who's always looking for ways to help others succeed, ties into what Abraham calls being a success practice investigator. He argues that we should constantly be on the lookout for inspiration for those aha moments that can spark new ideas and strategies. So it's about cultivating a mindset of curiosity, always seeking out new ways to learn and grow, even if it means looking outside our comfort zones.
Exactly. And those insights can come from anywhere, from other industries, from books, from conversations with mentors, even from observing the world around us. The key is to stay curious and open to new possibilities.
It's like training your mind to see those hidden opportunities that others might miss, to connect the dots in unexpected ways.
Precisely. And this brings us to a crucial question for you, the listener. What's one idea we've discussed today that really resonated with you? What's one action step you can take to apply these principles to your own life or business?
It's like you were saying about connecting the dots, looking back, not forward. We need to be open to those unexpected sources of inspiration, those chance encounters that can spark a breakthrough.
Yeah, and it's about cultivating that detective mindset that Abraham talks about, constantly searching for clues, patterns, and connections that can unlock hidden potential in ourselves and our businesses.
And sometimes those breakthroughs come from the most unexpected places, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It could be a conversation with someone in a completely different industry, a book you stumble upon, or even just a moment of quiet reflection. The key is to stay curious, keep your eyes open, and be willing to explore those unconventional paths.
You know what I find so inspiring about Abraham's work is that he doesn't promise some quick fix solution or a magic formula for success. He gives us this incredibly powerful framework for thinking differently, for seeing opportunities where others see limitations.
Exactly. He empowers us to become active participants in our own success, to constantly challenge the status quo and seek out those aha moments that can transform our businesses and our lives.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into getting everything you can out of all you've got, what's one key takeaway you hope our listeners walk away with today?
I think the biggest takeaway is that we already possess everything we need to achieve extraordinary results. It's not about searching for some external magic bullet. It's about tapping into the hidden potential that already exists within us and the resources we have at our disposal.
That's such an empowering message. We don't need to wait for permission or some perfect set of circumstances. We can start maximizing what we've got right now today.
Exactly. Embrace the principles we've discussed. Experiment, iterate, and never be afraid to challenge those limiting beliefs that might be holding you back. Your future success starts with a single step, a commitment to unlock the incredible potential that resides within you.
Beautifully said. And there you have it, a deep dive into Jay Abraham's Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got. We hope this episode has sparked your curiosity, challenged your assumptions, and empowered you to unlock new levels of success in your own life and work.
Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step today and never stop exploring the infinite possibilities that await.
Thanks for listening to Witter, Who Has Time to Read, produced by One Media. Please support the author by purchasing the book or audiobook using the link in the description. It's a great way to help keep the art of writing alive. And stay in the loop. Subscribe to our newsletter for updates on weekly deep dives. And don't forget to share your thoughts or suggest our next deep dive at witterpodcast@gmail.com.